on the ongoing democratic and human rights crisis in Tunisia. So since the 25th of July, 2021, we have witnessed a dangerous dismantling of institutional checks and balances in Tunis, marked by the erosion of judicial independence, the weakening of democratic safeguards, and growing repression of civil society. What was once hailed as a democratic success story in the region is now increasingly defined authoritarian consolidation. But amid voices are rising, and today I'm very proud to be joined by two inspiring young civil society leaders, Hamza Nasri, who is next to me, and Nauris Zoghbi Douzi. She is with us from Tunisia. Okay, so Hamza and Nauris, they represent the new generation of human rights defenders, inclusive and fearless human rights defenders. I'm sorry. Okay, so together we will explore two interrelated dimensions of the crisis in Tunisia. First, the erosion of the rule of law, and second, the repression of the civic space. Okay, so let's start. And I want to first ask Nauris, then Hamza, to present themselves more. The floor is yours, Nauris, and after we will have Hamza.
Hello, everyone. Nice work, what you're doing there. I hope it makes some sense here in Tunisia. So I shall represent myself. I'm Naura Zoghbi. I consider myself as an HRD and a political activist. I work closely with a lot of HRDs, lawyers, and NGOs here in Tunisia, and I hope this session might be fruitful to all of us. Thank you.
Of the High Judicial Council and the use of military force affected the judicial independence in Tunisia.
There will be another problem.
Now, do you hear us? Hello, Nauris. Do you hear us? Nauris?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question is for you. How has the dissolution of the High Judicial Council and the use of military courts affected the judicial independence in Tunisia?
Well, as far as we are concerned, in a way, is that after the dissolution of the High Judicial Council, we no longer have what we call impartial judges. We are no longer allowed to hold a fair trial in Tunisia. And in a sort of a sense that the current regime in Tunisia is not simply restricting us from having our rights into taking this system into courts. We are being denied a fair trial, and we are being denied our rights in a way. What we shall conclude from such position is that this current regime is actively weaponizing state institutions to dismantle us and deny us our existence and our rights, even within the courtrooms. What we are witnessing nowadays is that we no longer have judges who fear for their career, lawyers who are being imprisoned for defending HRDs or political opponents. But we are now witnessing with the recent case of Maître Ahmed Sweb is that not only you will be held in contempt or being detained, but also your lawyer themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Noris. Thank you for these insights. And okay, Hamza, it's your third time here in the with the African Commission. You have, I think, you have the great expertise now with our regional mechanisms. I want to ask you about what are the legal implications of Tunisia's withdrawal from the Article 34, Alinéa 6 of the African Court Protocol for Victims Seeking Justice?
Thank you. First, I would love to comment on the first question that you asked Morris for that. I believe that everything is articulated and everything is related to each other. We started by the Decree Law 117, then the dismantling of the Judicial Council that resulted at some point sentences that we witnessed during the last month. 6 years of jail for political prisoners in Tunisia, from 13 years to 60 years. So it's all related, and I think the moment of targeting and working on dismantling rule of law and democracy in Tunisia started from the beginning of this era of Qais Said. When it comes to regional mechanisms, I believe that we used to believe that it's a great area of work for human rights defenders and NGOs and individuals to reach out to regional mechanisms. And I remember in the last session, I had an intervention and I said we truly are proud about the judgment of the African Court for Human Rights, and a few months later, Qais Said regime withdrawal Tunisia ratification on that. Yeah. That's why I believe that the regime in Tunisia is aware of that this mechanism, those regional mechanisms are super important. Why super important? Because when HRDs from Tunisia reach out to those mechanisms, no one can stigmatize them by being working for Western agenda, yeah. Or also there is no history of colonization within the African Union or the African countries. That's why I believe in what the regime couldn't dismantle via populism is dismantling via regressive and oppressive decision like withdrawn from the protocol. It's very dangerous, but I encourage my fellow comrades and colleagues, human rights defenders, to defend the right of individuals from Tunisia and NGOs from Tunisia to reach out to regional and international mechanisms, because, as a colleague today said, this is where we can fight them and where we can win our fight. When it comes to laws, when it comes to international convenience, this is where we can fight and win our battle. Yeah.
You, Hamza, but I have another question for you. And I want to say and remind everyone in Tunisia, human rights defenders, that we still have 1 year from now till 2026, where we can, où on peut saisir la cour africaine. So back to English, my second question for you is, what role should the African Commission play in responding to the erosion of the rule of law in Tunisia?
Yeah. Our being here today is is a declaration that we still believe in the regional mechanisms, and that we believe that the African Commission is super important for the work of HRDs and NGOs in Tunisia. We're counting a lot on the African Commission. Me and my colleagues, we drafted a draft resolution for the commission, and we would love that the commission will adopt it. Also, we have oral statements to explain more to attendees and to the commission what's happening really in Tunisia. Today in Tunisia, we're having mass arrests against politicians. Today in Tunisia, migrants are being evacuated and deported in huge numbers. Today in Tunisia, political prisoners are being tortured, are being deprived from their basic rights in healthcare. Political prisoners are being deprived from the right of visits from their family. Lawyers are being now targeted. If you are a lawyer or a HRD defending political prisoner, you might find yourself targeted and charged by charges related to terrorism. As my colleague Nauris mentioned, Maitre Ahmed Swab, he's one of the experts who have been consulted when they were adopting this terrorism law. And today he's being charged by the same law that he was consulted when adopting it, just because he mentioned that we have no partial judicial system. Ahmed Swab is not only a lawyer or a former judge, he's a concentration of the noblesse, if we can say, of Tunisian elite. He's the person who have been always there for for everyone in need, vulnerable communities, for women, for human rights defenders. And today, by charging him and by targeting him, it's a way from the regime to say, I will I will spare no one. I will literally spare no one, even people that I can't find anything against them except that they are HRDs. So yeah, uh, that's why I encourage my fellows and colleagues to reach out. Really, this is a great area of work of in a regional advocacy. Unfortunately, let's say that Tunisians are not really engaged when it comes to regional mechanisms, and this is something that we can together build on, and together we can work on to develop to award a positive development. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so my next question is for Nauris, and we're gonna talk about the civic space and the human rights, Nauris. So I want to ask you, and I want you to explain to our audience, how has the crackdown on civil society organizations, journalists, impacted the border civic space in Tunis?
Well, the current regime in, as I said earlier, in Tunisia is not simply restricting the civic space. It is actively weaponizing state institutions to dismantle what is left of the so-called civic space. This is not what we are witnessing and what we are having is not a temporary backlash or a misguided policy choice. It is a deliberate political project to neutralize dissent, to dismantle social resistance, and to suppress the transformative power of collective organizing. What we are witnessing today is, in a way, the systemic criminalization of a political imagination of a better Tunisia, what we see as what we can do as a generation to Tunisia. Civil society organizations, and especially those defending gender justice, migrant rights, and queer communities, are being targeted not because they are weak, but because they hold power. Not the same power as Qais Said holds, but the power to expose, to mobilize, and to resist. These groups are being pushed into somehow legal gray zones, silenced through administrative strangulation, demonized in the media as foreign agents or threats to national security. And it has been for a long time now, these constitutes as clear attempts to delegitimize any form of independent organizing that does not align with the state's authoritarian narrative. The repression of journalists, in an attempt to answer your question, Asma, goes even further, because today in Tunisia, telling the truth can land you in prison. The Decree Law 54 has become a blunt instrument to punish those who dare to document, to investigate, and to criticize. Satirists, whistleblowers, and now lawyers are being charged under vague notions of disinformation and national security. These laws are not about combating fake news. It is about controlling the narrative and making fear the dominant mode of communication and the sole dominant mode of communication used by our president. The broader consequence is not only silencing our voices, but a disintegration of trust between the state or the regime and our people. Fear has crept in a way into our daily life, into our messages, into our public meetings, into courtrooms. Social movements, once being the heartbeat of the post-revolutionary Tunisia, are now fractured and surveilled. But we're not gone. Despite the repression, and despite these new forms of dominance, we are fighting also new forms of resisting. We are emerging, somehow more decentralized, more intersectional, more defiant. The streets may seem quiet because simply everybody in prison or is a detainee to be in the future. But beneath the surface, there's a lot of anger who is organizing in itself. Our fight today is not only for the civic space. It is a battle over who gets to define the future of Tunisia. And I joined the call of Hamza. And for those, to our comrades and to our fellow HRDs who still believe in the unfinished promises of our revolution, dignity, freedom, and social justice, there is no option but to resist.
What a testimony, what an intervention. You always have the words, Naurus. Thank you. So it's not my last question to you. We need more. What protections are needed for lawyers, human rights defenders, journalists currently facing prosecution under cybercrime, the law number 54, or the terrorism laws? We know that you work in the legal aid. It's your field. You mastered it. Everyone, by the way, if anyone has a problem in Tunisia from human rights defenders, this is the girl to reach out for. So from your experience now, you are experienced now after 4 years of battling. What do you think?
Well, I think nowadays we need to somehow stop treating our current repression as an aberration and actually start naming it as such. It's a policy, a systematic one. The legal framework that we framed it as a reaction because the anti-terrorism law also we need to contextualize it because it happened right after terrorist attacks and where the mass public had an emotional breakdown rather than a legal, rational comprehension of the laws. And these legal frameworks are being used today to target lawyers, human rights defenders, journalists. And it is in a way designed to not only disrupt the fear, because when you are being detained and your lawyer is prosecuted with you and the journalist who talked about your case is with you being charged, and probably the judge will be transferred to another courthouse, this somehow the legal framework is now being designed to entrench fear and to disrupt also the networks of solidarity. The Decree Law 54, the provisions of anti-terrorism law, and the arbitrary use of the penal code must be repealed or rendered inapplicable through sustained and political pressure. This means that demanding the non-criminalization of professional duties, such as defending a political prisoner, is not a crime, but documenting abuse also is not a crime. Writing about corruption is not a crime. What we need are institutional guarantees that protect the right to defend rights. That includes independent oversight of the judicial harassment and an end to a retaliation prosecution in a way, and somehow support mechanisms for those under threat, the legal defense pools, the emerging housing, the psychological care, the safe communication channels. These are tools to protect HRGs, journalists, lawyers, and etc. In my legal work, I see how repression is used not just to punish individuals, but in a broader sense to break an entire community. There are long-term and exhausting battles. Activists today are dragged through years of court procedures designed in a way to isolate and silence them. That is why the legal protection cannot be separated from the political support. We must protect not just bodies or individuals, but the movements and the communities itself. Protection to us nowadays must mean resistance. It means that staying visible, amplifying each other, refusing the normalization of repression. It needs somehow international allies that must stop treating Tunisia as a transitional democracy or the exceptional Tunisian history and recognize this authoritarian reality we are living in. There is no room for neutralité in these moments. There is either complicity or solidarity. So we need to name it as such. It is repressive, authoritarian, and define it as such and act the way it is.
Thank you, Naurus. Thank you. Coming back to you, Hamza. So the question is, how can regional solidarity and networks be mobilized to support independent civil society actors in Tunis? And Naurus, also, we want you to answer after Hamza to this question, and after maybe we're gonna have a Q&A. Yalla, go.
So adding to what Nauris was saying is difficult, to be honest. But I wanted to mention also that one of about the first the earlier question, that the recognition of HRDs as HRDs is super and important and crucial. Today we have to say that what's happening, what's happening to people, it's happening because they are HRDs. At least we cannot get the legal recognition now, but we should get, like, we recognize that. Second, when it comes to protection, I believe that international NGOs, especially those working on the protection, should recognize the urgent need to intervene when it comes to Tunisia. As a person who suffered from targeting and a person in diaspora today, I believe the mechanisms of support in terms of temporary relocation, in terms of legal assistance, in terms of psychological assistance, they are not very effective as they are now. And I know the world is a little bit uglier now than before within the general circumstances all over the world. But yeah, this is something to be worked on. When it comes to international solidarity, I believe that there is a lot to be done in our continent, in with our fellow comrades from Africa and in our region. Also, there is something super important to work on that happened lately. The assessment of the EU that Tunisia is a safe country where nothing is happening is super important to denounce, to try to work on that field, because no, it's not, neither for Tunisian or for people coming from other countries. Tunisia is not safe. We have our solidarity networks. We have our HRDs fellow in the world. we should advocate to them and they should support us and show us solidarity and support. So yeah.
Thank you, Hamza. Notice, what if you have a final and last word about solidarity and networks, and maybe new ideas for mobilization, please?
Well, the regional solidarity, in my opinion, it must move more beyond statements of concern and become a concrete infrastructure of resistance. Because what is happening in Tunisia is somehow part of a broader regional pattern, such as autocrats or the EU learning from each other, exporting repression, sharing surveillance tools. And we must respond with the same level of coordination, urgency, and especially and above all, ambition. We need, first of all, a regional safety net, emergency funds, legal assistance, temporary relocation mechanisms, encrypted platforms for secure collaboration. But even more importantly is we need political solidarity that centers grassroots movements, not just the elite organization. A solidarity cannot mean speaking for Tunisia. It must mean resourcing and amplifying those already resisting on the grounds. Social movements in Tunisia, especially those led by women or queer people or undocumented migrants and survivors of police violence, are under direct attack, and they are also in the front line of democratic resistance. Their work is strategic, intersectional, and rooted in lived experience. Regional networks must recognize them as not vulnerable populations, but as political actors in their own right. And at a time when public discourse is being militarized and repression is becoming normalized, small acts of transnational solidarity, like coordinated campaigns, cross-border legal support, public letters, can offer lifelines, but they must be sustained and political as well, and ground asking for somehow charity, but we are calling for alliance. The fight for civic space in Tunisia is the fight for freedom across the region. And to us, we are being denied our African heritage. It's somehow a cultural eraser. It is a political project. Tunisia's ruling regime is actively rewriting our national identity to serve a narrow, authoritarian, and exclusionary vision of what it means to actually belong. And in this vision, everything Black, everything African, everything related to migration, Pan-African solidarity, or even the legacy of anti-colonial struggle is framed as foreign, undesirable, or dangerous. And this denial is institutional. It is visible in racialized violence against the Black migrants in Tunisia, in the state's embrace of xenophobic rhetoric, in the refusal to honor Tunisia's role within the African Union beyond strategic diplomacy. And it is embedded even in our school curricula, in media, in our legal system, that erases any contribution of African intellectuals or movements or histories to our political imagination. We only respond to what the EU mechanisms import to us. Nowadays, with the rise of the far right wing in the EU, our rights are no longer in interest. We are a commodity, and the regional as a continent, as those colonized people, we need to respond to that collectively, not in terms of responding only geopolitically or symbolically or emotionally, but they want us to forget that our struggle of the Tunisian revolutionaries once was linked to the Sudanese people, to the Congolese artists, to Nigerian feminists, to queer Mauritian youth. And they want us to believe that somehow we are a zero-sum game. Our African heritage is not a detail, it is foundational. And reclaiming it the way I see it is in itself an act of resistance.
Bravo. Alors, chaque intervention avec toi, c'est un grand speech. I'm very thankful, my dear. And on behalf of Committee for Justice, I want to say to all of you, thank you for attending this panel. Now, some questions, if okay.
Thank you very much. Can I? Okay, okay. Can I express myself in French? It's okay? OK. Merci beaucoup pour ces brillantes interventions et ces informations importantes sur la situation des défenseurs des droits humains en Tunisie. Nous avons compris que c'est une situation préoccupante et surtout que il y a d'autres Africains qui sont inquiétés en Tunisie. Là, c'est une problématique supplémentaire qu'on retrouve non pas seulement en Tunisie, mais aussi dans d'autres pays comme l'Afrique du Sud et ainsi de suite. Je pense que c'est une question qui mérite d'être soulevée. Alors, j'ai quelques questions pour la compréhension du contexte tunisien. La première question est de savoir, est-ce qu'actuellement, la gouvernance politique tunisienne, est-ce que l'alternance démocratique est permise ou bien on est face à une dictature ou entre les deux parce que ça existe aussi, c'est une situation hybride. Comment est-ce que vous qualifiez la démocratie tunisienne actuellement? Est-ce qu'on est en recul par rapport à ce qui était avant le printemps arabe? On est dans un statu quo? Comment est-ce que la situation se présente sous ce format-là? La deuxième et la dernière question, quelle est la situation de l'opposition politique et des syndicats? Est-ce qu'aujourd'hui, on a d'autres relais? Est-ce qu'on a d'autres mécanismes politiques ou syndicaux sur lesquels on peut s'appuyer pour défendre les droits des citoyens tunisiens, les droits des défenseurs, des avocats et d'autres militants qui font que les droits et les lois soient respectés en Tunisie? Merci beaucoup.
Do you want to answer that, Notice?
Alors, par rapport à la qualification, on peut, si on parle en termes de droit, en fait, c'est une dictature, ce qu'on appelle la dictature légaliste. C'est en fait d'utiliser toutes les zones grises du droit pour commettre des violations des droits de l'homme. Le fait d'avoir un contexte comme celui-ci, et d'ailleurs notre président ne lâche pas l'opportunité pour réécrire une loi ou bien un décret-loi pour servir leur intérêt. Et son intérêt, eh bien celui-ci, c'est de mettre, c'est en fait d'avoir une Tunisie qui est blanche et à la fois une Tunisie qui est xénophobe, une Tunisie répressive et le plus important, une Tunisie à prison ouverte, si on peut la qualifier comme ça. Alors, si tu n'es pas actuellement détenu, en fait, voilà la situation telle qu'elle est. Alors, tu es un défenseur des droits de l'homme, tu vas être arrêté. Si on te trouve rien comme crime, on va utiliser soit le décret loi 54, un petit statut Facebook, généralement, on va trouver quelque chose. Et étant donné que notre code pénal date celui de 1913, avec un héritage colonial français qui semble un peu emblématique à nos jours, il va utiliser tous les textes, lois qui sont très répressives. Tu auras un avocat qui est à la fois un défenseur des droits de l'homme. Il va être détenu avec toi. Tu auras une association qui va te défendre, lancer un petit communiqué en disant, voilà, ça, c'est pas, faillir respecter les procédures, la détention provisoire ne doit pas excéder 14 mois. Tous ces gens-là, toute cette communauté de solidarité créée autour de toi vont être disséminés pour la simple raison parce qu'ils vont être attaqués par un discours officiel de la part de la présidence de la République qui vont te traiter en tant qu'un agent, I don't know what to call it, it's like a foreign agent.
Right.
Un traite, tu as des trucs, tu es payé par les Occidentaux, you're a spy, pourquoi pas CIA, et tu as cette campagne de diffamation et de dénigrement contre toi. Et c'est tout simplement la situation pénale en Tunisie. Le problème par rapport à la solidarité syndicale ou l'intervention d'autres mécanismes, bon, auparavant, on avait un syndicat et c'est l'UGTT et l'ONAT aussi, notre barreau, ayant le prix Nobel en 2015, je pense, qui n'existe plus même en une intervention professionnelle par rapport à défendre les travailleurs, les ouvriers et même les avocats. On a des réactions qui sont à 100% professionnelles, un peu timides politiquement, et on se trouve après 4 ans d'un coup d'État, ayant plus que 60 avocats condamnés. Plus que 5 avocats emprisonnés. Et à la base, ces avocats sont à la base des membres du comité de défense, des défenseurs des droits de l'homme ou bien des opposants politiques ou bien même ce qu'on appelle les techniciens de la société civile, avec même les simples salariés de la société civile, les professionnels de la société civile. Ce qui constitue malheureusement une scène syndicale un peu vide, où on a nos slogans qui font l'écho. Hein. I hope my
Merci,
French
Laurens.
helped in a way responding to all of that.
We didn't hear you. What you said.
Aïe, aïe, aïe,
Repeat
aïe,
it loudly. We have Mr. Ahmed
Just, I
there.
want to yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to express myself in English. Maybe Nauris mentioned the legal aspect of the Tunisian dictatorship. I'm going to mention the political. So we have a frozen parliament, then dismantled parliament, then MPs in jail, then all the political scene leaders are in jail, journalists are in jail, lawyers are in jail. In 1 year, more than 230 in 2024 human rights violation documented. So let's call it dictatorship. It's nothing than a dictatorship. And when it comes to GTT lawyers and syndicalists, I believe that there is a huge gap today between HRD's civil society and UGTT and other component that we believe that they were supposed to play a major role in what's happening now, but unfortunately they are not. Yeah.
Okay. Hamza, he means by UGTT, the labor union, who in the past years played a major and a key role in social and political struggles. The last question, I think it's with Mr. Ahmed Mifrah. Yalla.
Thank you very much. I have a question regarding the migration situation. To both of you, to both of you, our panelists today. Can you please speak about the situation of the sub-Saharan migrant in Tunisia, including there is a report regarding forced disappearances, desert explosions. What role has the civil society in Tunisia could play or could able to play to in protecting the migrants' rights? And and because also we know that there is crackdown again. Not there is some human rights defender in Tunisia. They are now the jail because they are protecting or try to protect the migrant rights. Could you please, our panelists, could you give insights about how the civil society try to face such kind of measures taken by the government against the migrants, and what is the consequences that's happening after the efforts to stop such kind of processes?
Uh, since February 2023, xenophobia, racism, and targeting of undocumented and also documented African migrants era started in Tunisia. The president had a speech encouraging people to attack, to threat, to target people on the basis of their color, nothing more or nothing less than their color. Since then, things escalated sometimes and sometimes back to not normal but a little bit less tension. Uh, Civil society actors work on migration. Civil society actors working on my
Online. This is better. Yeah. This one.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So today, organization working on migration issue are being cracked down. Saadia Mosbah is in jail for so long now. Sharifa Riyahi is in jail for so long now. In a way, Salwa Gharisa is in jail because they are working on migration. There is something that I always want to mention. My mom is a simple citizen in Tunisia that is not interested in politics. Sometimes when I call her, she says that I'm afraid to give a migrant a bottle of water and a piece of bread because, as a person, if I will do that, either I will be targeted by militias or by police in Tunisia. We are at this point in Tunisia where people are not allowed to give uh, a human being a bottle of water or a piece of bread. Uh, a week ago, a person in Tunisia called Akram Labayid started his own jail in Tunisia. Started in jailing black people on the basis of their color of skin. Yeah, this is what's happening in Tunisia, and this is what maybe people cannot say or don't want to admit. In Seliana, this person with a militia started putting people in jail just because they are undocumented migrants. In Tunisia, being undocumented is not the issue. We have students coming with their papers documented, registered within the authorities, are being deprived of their right to study. They paid money for for the state to study. They're yeah. There is a place in Tunisia, maybe Tunisian fellows know it, called Vienna, which has a number of African migrants living there. What police do there, go in the street and start hunting migrants. It reminds me of witch hunt in Salem during old times. So yeah, this is the situation of migrants from Africa. And that all because those people are not willing to stay in Tunisia. They are not intended to stay in Tunisia. They don't want to stand in Tunisia, as our president claimed, because he claims that there is a great replacement project that is threatening Tunisia. Those people are willing to go to Europe. Qais Said today is working as the border police of Maloney. This is the real thing that he's doing. Yeah.
Thank you. You
May
really
I?
described the context. Yes, it's for you now, Nauris. If you can, are you here, Nauris?
Yes, I am. Do you hear
Okay, but
me?
I think that maybe Ahmed Bekrah wants to ask another question. Ah, our colleague. Yes, please.
اوكي ممكن اتكلم بالعربي. اهلا، انا ستنا من السودان. بس كنت دايرة اعرف انه يعني اول حاجة انا كنت متوقعة انه الوضع في تونس افضل من يعني مما سمعته. آه، كنت متوقع انه الوضع افضل مما سمعت، لكن داير اعرف حاجه. احنا يعني مثلا احنا في السودان لحد الان ما وصلنا مرحله انه احنا نقدر نرفع يعني شكاوي ضد الحكومه او ضد المؤسسات المعنيه بالحكومه المفوضيه بتاعت تجهيز حقوق الانسان. فداير اعرف انه الوضع في تونس كيف، هل هي قادرين يعني تقدروا ترفعوا الشكاوي، والبروسيس بيتم كيف يعني، ولو في امكانيه انه انا اقدر مثلا اشبك مع جهات هي حاليا مثلا يعني عندها منهجية لطريقة الرفع دي، أو مثلا عندكم ماتريال بتاع التدريب إنه كيف إحنا نقدر نرفع الشكاوي بتاعتنا. يعني أقدر أستفيد من خبرتكم أكتر. شكرا.
ننطلق. First of all, I shall express all of my solidarity with the Sudanese and to you, to the Sudanese people. Yes.
Answer her in Arabic, it's okay.
كل الدعم والحب والقوة والتضامن لما تعيشونه كشعب سوداني، وخاصة للنساء وما تواجهه من قمع لا فقط نظام بالقوات الرد السريع أيضا وما تقوم به من مجازر. I wanted to go back on the question asked by Mr. Ahmed and to further elaborate on what Hamza said. Because one of the most important things that fueled, in a way, this xenophobia and this racism was the concept of great replacement that initiated and was the core of the speech made by the president in February 2023. That it has been weaponized in Tunisia in the recent years as part of a xenophobic, state-driven narrative that frames sub-Saharan African migrants and, by extension, Blackness and Africanness, as they are portrayed as an existential threat to the Tunisian identity, sovereignty, and the social order. This mirrors not only far-right conspiracies in Europe and in North America, where white supremacist groups claim that the native populations are being replaced by racialized others, but in Tunisia, this narrative takes on distinctly post-colonial and authoritarian character. So same as what Hamza said about February 2023, which is, to me, was like the most dangerous public statement made ever, that claimed that undocumented migrants was part of a criminal plan to change the demographic composition of Tunisia, invoking explicitly the theory of great replacement. And this marked a turning point, what had simmered in racist public discourse that exploded into state-sanctioned xenophobia. The fallout, what was striking, that the fallout was immediate. The mass arrests and expulsions of Black migrants and students, the waves of evictions, assaults, racist violence by both police and civilians, the chilling climate of fear with migrants being afraid to
Notice, I think we have a little technical problem. Hold on, please. Okay. Notice, do you hear us? She's freezed, okay. Oui, nous sommes arrivés à la fin. We arrived to the, what? Yes.
عندنا الامكانيه في الميكانيزمات الامميه، صح؟ يعني قانونيا تونس مصادقه على اغلب المعاهدات، يعني مش الكل، وعندنا نفاذ ليهم وعندنا الحق والقدره باش نتوجهوا لهم. لكن هذا موضوع كنا نحكوا فيه اليوم، انه هناك نوع من التقصير او نوع من عدم اعطاء الاولويه لدى المدني التونسي في التوجه أو المناصرة لدى المنتظم الدولي ولا المنتظم الإقليمي. وهذا شيء نحن على الأقل خلال مشاركتين توا في اللجنة الإفريقية أقرينا به وبرمجنا أنه نعمل عليه. لذلك يمكن أن ننسق أكثر في أن نبدو هذه المسيرة مع بعضنا، بما أنه لأنه إحنا ما عندناش خبرة كبيرة في التنفيذ، مع بعضنا نتعلم ومع بعضنا ننطلقوا فيه. شكرا.
Thank you. It's a learning process. بس كنا مركزين أكثر على خلق الدفاع للقانون لما كنا ديمقراطي. لكن اليوم نحن يعني توسع زمون وعزيز على العمل في خلال ميكانيزمات الإنسان في المكتب. Thank you, dear friends, colleagues, and comrades for attending. Okay, she's back. Our Nauris is back. A little final word, Nauris, maybe? Please.
تمنياتي لنا ولكم بالقوة لمجابهة كل الأنظمة المستبدة في هذا العالم.
شكرا نورس. شكرا حمزة. On behalf of CFG, I want to thank you, all of you. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you. La séance est levée. Merci.
نحي الميكرو يا أسماء، الميكرو يخطي.
Okay, can we have a picture with her?
Yes.
Stay, we want to have a picture with you.
أوكي.
Okay.
done ولا still؟
No,